Hi, everybody. Welcome back. It's time again for Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show, and sometimes television conversation show. John Suntress here, welcoming Joe Henderson back to Word Balloon with his Wonder Woman mug. Great to see you, Joe, and great to see Lucifer back. 5B season, unbelievable. Well done, man. A great.
Thank you.
And as you've described it, really, you made this to be one big long storyline, 5A and 5B, really.
Yeah, it's been a relief to get 5B out there. One, because we shot it like a year and a half ago, most of it. And two, just because it is two parts of a whole. 5A and 5B are meant to be watched together. And a lot of the things we set up in 5A, which might have felt a little unsatisfying or frustrating, I think people now see where we were building to in 5B and why we had to do certain things. Like a lot of people were frustrated with Maze's progression in particular in 5A. And it's because it was half an arc. And you see the rest of the arc in 5B.
And Ella as well. I mean, God,
yes.
Still haunted by the relationship and weirdness of the dating a serial killer. Poor Ella, my God. And then and of course now we're spoiling. We should get that out front. I think a lot of you are already aware of that. In fact, the title of the show is that it is a spoiler review. So we're gonna spoil it all. And poor Dan,
Poor Dan. Dan is the character we love to torture every year, and this is the year we literally tortured him the most.
Yeah, man. Jesus. Although, anything can happen in Lucifer. It's been shown. I mean, Mom came back, so who's to say that, and again, we certainly, where things have been left.
Anyone on this probably knows that Kevin Alejandro is in season 6.
Okay.
So I think it's safe to say that in a show about heaven and hell and gods and devils, Dan Espinoza's story has not quite completed.
Agreed. Understood. Oh, God. So I remember last year you telling me that your favorite episode of 5B was Family Dinner. Does that still stand?
I mean, it's my favorite episode that I've done. I've actually just started rewatching because I haven't watched a lot of the episodes for a while. It's my favorite episode that I wrote, and I love it for a lot of reasons. I just finished watching Naked and Afraid again, the Dan Espinoza episode. Whew, it's so good. That's so good. I love that one. I love the musical.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the finale. 515 I don't love because it makes me sad. I mean, I love it, but I don't. It's not one I want to rewatch that much because I don't want to cry all the time. And I love May's Eve. They're all my children. They're all beautiful. But Family Dinner definitely has my favorite scene when it comes to that 14-minute dinner.
Really? Well, that's the thing. The whole family relationship and everything. Everybody. Haysberg was so great as God, and I'm so bummed that we may not see him come back.
He fit in like he'd been on the show all along. It's funny. It's like you bring God in, and it's a really tricky thing. And when he showed up on set, it was like he'd been on the show the whole time. He just finally decided to step forward. And part of that was he had this wonderful relationship with DB. DB was instrumental in getting Dennis because we just didn't even know if we could get him, and DB just reached out to him. So, and it's funny because we were talking about Dennis. DB was like, "Have you thought about him for this?" And we're like, "We have. We're just not sure if he's gettable." And he's like, "Well, I kind of talked to him about it last week." so we're hugely grateful to him for that. And he was just lovely. He was awesome. And he had the mixture of gravitas and twinkle in the eye that you wanted from the father of Amenadiel and Lucifer and everyone else.
Well, and also for the humans to relate to God and have this, I mean, it really was this vicarious thrill, honestly, as a viewer, to have humans meet God.
Yes.
And, really like, everybody was terrific on that. Yeah, it was great catching all the different vibes and fears. And, I mean, Ella's conversations with them were great. And, God, the entire thing. It was great.
Well, so much of it was in the first half setting up everyone's insecurities in ways that God could ping off of. And I mean, like the moment we remembered that Dan had previously dated the goddess, which was very early on, but it was like we had given season 2 us gave season 5 us a gift that we didn't know we were giving. And Absolutely. We were like, oh, this is amazing. This is great. because even God might get a little jealous of someone.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, you dated my wife. It's like, yeah, I guess.
Were you watching when we were?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pauline Allard wants to know how long is the time jump? Is there a time jump for season 6?
There is a time jump. It is a length of time.
Attaboy. Very good answer. Absolutely. And she wants you to pay for her therapy after 5
That's fair. That is fair.
I completely understand.
Please send all bills to the Bruckheimer Productions, care of Jerry. I'm winking a lot. I don't know why.
Susan, why did Michael urge Chloe to kill him when she had the blade at his throat? Do it, he said. And if
that is a great, I love that question.
Yeah,
I think Michael at that moment, one, realized he had lost, but two, I think Michael really hates himself. I think Michael has a lot of self-love issues in a parallel way to Lucifer, and I think in that moment, mixed with the guilt, like I think he killed Chloe on instinct and in a moment, but I think also he realized just how far he'd fallen. And I like to think there's a version of Michael who was actually kind of happy that he lost and happy that he got the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, Susan wondered if there was a moment of regret. I think on Michael's face,
That's how I saw it. I feel like that's how Tom played it, and I think it was an important part of his journey that he is our villain and our antagonist, but he is his own hero too. He's his own person.
Really, Tom playing both Lucy and Michael. I mean, really, just kept the ball rolling from 5A, and it's really
amazing. And the family dinner scene. I mean, dear Lord. By the way, major kudos also to the acting double we used. I cannot remember his name right now, but he was amazing because we also had someone always sitting in for Tom, and we needed someone who could actually act and actually bring something. And you don't see his performance at all because Tom is recorded over all of it. But that guy saved our butts because Tom needed someone to be able to play off of. And so much of it is him having to play off of himself. But because we had that actor, it was amazing. But God, Tom, this season hopefully shows everyone just how good Tom Ellis is. Why was Mom still in Charlotte's body? I'll take that one really quick.
Okay, is that at the bottom there? Is it one of the new ones?
It just was. I'm just scrolling. So one, because we wanted to bring Trisha Helfer back, and two, it's the only earthly vessel we've ever seen. So we just felt like, honestly, I just wanted to bring Trisha Helfer back, and I believe the last time I was on this podcast, I lied to John's face and said that Trisha was not coming back because I have realized that lying is good if it protects the viewers from a nice surprise.
Absolutely.
And that was one that we really fought hard to keep, that Trisha was amazing at keeping. But we just wanted the iconography, the woman that we've known who was the goddess and the man that we've come to know as God, visually together.
Now someone asks here, Hideout Bush, is Michael in season 6? I want to expand that and say, I love seeing the Pantheon of Angels, and it was really great seeing more of them show up and everything, and just be involved, whether they were just watching the fight or the potential for more interesting stuff. So yeah, what's the
I can answer that. What I will say is Michael is in season 6. He's not as much a driving force. Michael's story is pretty much done. Whenever we do a season, we try to tell beginning, middle, and end. We will see him in season 6, but season 6 is about something else.
Potential.
Well, I got a good one. God confessed that he was never angry at Lucy. In fact, found the idea of rebellion adorable. They never gave him answers why he kicked Lucifer out. I think to me, God, working in mysterious ways, realized that Lucifer needed to find his own path. And so he basically decided that Lucifer, there was not room in heaven for two alphas to a certain extent, to two banging heads. And so whether rightly or wrongly, I think he sent him on the only journey that Lucifer could go on to find himself.
Will the immortality ring play a big role in season 6?
No.
Fair enough.
It's done. It used up its juice. It is now a lovely keepsake.
How about the flaming sword, which is hilarious, by the way, and of course,
the flaming sword. By the way, the flaming sword is something that we're really excited to bring back, because it's a huge flaming sword. It's a toy we had, and then we realized we were bringing Mom back. We were like, oh, this is kismet. This makes sense. So, all I'll say is it's still around. So, and by the way, a lot of people are asking how Michael used the flaming sword if Lucifer was a light bringer. we talked about that a whole bunch. My thinking is Lucifer jump-started it when he used it in season 2. So now it's got the juice. And so now Michael can wield it as well. That's my canon. We debated it a bunch, and ultimately we went with mostly because it's cool. You could argue also that maybe Michael has his own Lightbringer side to him. We talked about that a little bit, where it's like, hey, maybe part of it is that they are two sides of the same coin. Maybe Michael in another life could have been the Lightbringer, could still be the Lightbringer. I leave it to you guys to decide.
And I got to acknowledge when Trixie found out that her father was dead. Well done, man. Heartbreaking. Yeah. Hey, seriously.
So that was Ildy's first scene that she directed of the first episode of television she ever directed. And wow, like everything's easier after that. And she just directed the living crap out of it. Scarlet, like a lot of time I've been teasing. We have a lot of really cool Scarlet stuff in the back half. Now she gets to do everything from sit on a bench and talk to God to break your ever-loving hearts.
Understood. A lot of people are asking, why did Dan wind up in hell? And I'm assuming.
Oh, good question.
I'm assuming that's going to be a season 6 question. Obviously,
it's a season 6 question, and it's a little bit of a season 5 question, so I can dance on it a bit because, I mean, the answer is that question is the question Lucifer is asking. That is the mystery that he's trying to solve because it doesn't make sense to him either. That's why Naked and Afraid was so important, was showing Dan come to peace with his actions, come to peace with the world. He had a just darn epiphany, and he still went to hell. Why doesn't the world work right? That is a question that we are going to carry over.
Sure, and assuming that's one of the reasons why, again, that Lucifer wants to be God.
Yes, exactly.
And that's fascinating. No, really. Man, the religious nuts must hate you. Good Lord. The devil has become God.
It's funny. I've only gotten one person that I've noticed. I'm sure I only one person really hit me hard on it and was like, keeps tweeting me about it. Because for one, the story's not over. And two, it's like, they're like, oh, you diminished God by saying that he's fallible and Lucifer's better than him. And that's not the story we're telling. And to anyone who feels that way, I say, wait and see, because the story ain't done yet. We got plenty more story to tell. But it is more than anything else. It's more of a story of fathers and sons, and his son trying to step into his father's shoes. But even anyone who feels a little theologically challenged by that, we have more story to come.
Someone was asking too if we'll see more of Lucifer supporting Trixie in season 6. He was so hurt seeing her like this. Oh yeah, heartbreaking, man.
Yeah, that was hard. We will see more Trixie in season 6. We don't have a ton of her, but we have some stuff that you will find very rewarding.
Excellent. Is Michael stuck on Earth now since he doesn't have wings anymore?
It's a very interesting question. He's somewhere, I assume.
Oh God!
But you're right. He doesn't have wings, so wherever he's probably not able to get very far.
Oh, this is interesting. Any chance we might see a John Constantine cameo?
We talked about it, and honestly, doing the crossover was so hard to do and pull off that we decided it was best just to leave it as is. That character is forging his own path in Legends of Tomorrow, which is awesome, by the way. And it just felt like that was enough. And also because we only had the last season, we wanted to focus as much as possible on our characters.
Absolutely cool, man. Yeah. That's Marina wants to know.
Oh, great.
The Hammer Time dance. I never laughed harder with this show.
I'm going to say me, but honestly, it could have been anyone in the room. We got to the end of the season, and so much of the season was, and at the point we thought it was a series finale, was wrapping everything up. And we wanted God to be there one more time. And that was a big part of it. And we just realized, we need to stall. What else do we want to do with stalling with? And then it was like, what if we get a song? And I believe first it was actually Ice Ice Baby. And I think we couldn't get that song. And which often happens is you try to go for one song and then you get the one that's so much better for the moment. And when we got to Hammer Time, and honestly, most of that was just backing up from wanting Michael to yell stop and then have them riff off of it. But that was just a delight for us. And it was one of those moments where that was like day 1 or 2 back in shooting after being on hiatus for 6 months. And it was I feel like it really gave us all a shot in the arm for our show to be silly and weird in the middle of COVID and remind ourselves that we make a show that is about the angels and demons, but is funny and uplifting and silly and as absurd as that.
That's cool. This is interesting. Yeah, what was the point of the prisoners in the bus?
Where do you think those demons came from? Boom. The fun of it was, and by the way, initially that was going to be, I'm just gonna get behind the scenes. That was gonna be a much larger army, but because of COVID, everything got pared down.
Understood.
God never answered why hell didn't need a warden. It's a very interesting question.
So he wanted Lucy to become a god all along, and that's why he was relieved from duties of hell as he released it's time for him to take over. All right.
We have one more season.
Fair enough. There you go. I loved Maze and Eve's relationship, and Maze is just search for a soul, and God's answer to that.
That was one we put a lot of our own sort of heart into very much. Maze's story towards finding her own self. The whole show is about self-love. The whole show is about accepting yourself as much as accepting the people around you. And Maze is especially tricky because she's got this one thing no one else has. And it was important for us to sort of hit the idea that who knows how long she's had a soul. She might have had it the whole time. She might have grown it day one. All that matters is who she is and whether she loves to her fullest. And she does.
Very cool. Iris has a good question. Do people, when they go to heaven, this is interesting, forget their pain according to the series? Because when Chloe saw Lucifer, she seems to have forgotten about him. But as soon as she saw him, she remembered. I love that scene with her father. Again, as someone whose parents are no longer here, it's like those are truly those wish fulfillments of God. I really hope I get to be with them again and share moments and stuff like that. That was just beautiful.
Thank you. It was so nice to do. And it was also nice because John Decker is played by Leslie Ann Brandt's husband, Chris Gilbert. So that was really nice. Just to have him back. So it was like a sort of homecoming in two ways. And he's just a lovely guy and he's a great actor. But to the question, the way we sort of thought about it is in heaven, your pain goes away unless you want it back. Like, it's not to say that it's like, oh, you're anesthetized from pain, but like to a certain extent, like heaven allows you a bit of distance, a bit of a step away, unless you want to embrace it. And Chloe's still learning the rules. She's still new there. So she hasn't quite learned how to navigate yet. Whereas you see Lee's got a lot more control over himself. He's figured things out. So, because we didn't want heaven to be this place where like you forget everything and you're just sort of lobotomized. But at the same time, you know, if you're in heaven and everyone's down on earth, and you should miss them. And so it was really just trying to find the happy medium between making heaven a place you'd want to be to, but also not making it painful.
Here's an interesting question. Does Azrael ever get to keep her blade? Seems like everyone else has it except her.
We're gonna start calling it everyone except for Azrael's blade. She had it for millennia, and now she's really just sharing, guys.
And Carla wants to know if the Dan episode drew any inspiration from the Buffy episode, the Zeppo.
You know, I think way back when, yes. I think we've been wanting to do this since season 3. And actually, we were going to do it season 3, and then Kevin directed an episode, and so he obviously was not available to act in it. Or I mean, he could, but it's too much to ask of someone. But I think that is probably one of the places it started. And then over the last couple seasons, it has become its own thing. But yeah, I mean, the Zeppo's amazing. So there's no way it's not.
People are wondering with Chloe having the immortal ring, if she is now immortal.
You know, I will answer that. The immortality brought her back. See, that's the only way that someone like a soul can't go back, except for the fact that had that immortality, that life essence, you could say, and the life essence is what allowed her to return.
And Eva wants to know if Lucifer's going to lose his mojo now that he's God.
It's an interesting question.
Yeah, I think great power, great responsibility. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, it'll be very fun seeing Lucifer in the driver's seat like that, and what he does to the world. Is Chloe going to know about Lucifer's sacrifices?
Yes, and you guys are going to love it.
There you go. And yeah, people are asking when will Chloe learn that Lucifer killed his brother and everything.
You know, I think Chloe knows and learned at some point. It was one of the things we talked about, but it just, since she didn't really know him, it felt like a story that she didn't need to necessarily know, other than the fact that obviously it was to protect her. But yeah, it's just one of those things that amongst everything, we had other stories to tell.
Okay. And Rowan says you had a great cameo. Well done.
Yes. If anyone wants to know, by the way, it's hard to tell because I had to shave my beard for my role. But in 516, I am one of the demon prisoners. My head gets lopped off, and I go.
That
flying.
Was your head.
That was me. I think my back was broken for 3 days after doing all of those. You have to I had to run up and then let my body just fall limp. And this body is not used to doing much more than sitting right here. So, but it was so fun. It was awesome.
That's excellent, man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Here's a good one. Who is the villain of season 6? The villain of season 6.
I kind of assumed as much.
Really excited about that.
Yeah, I can appreciate. Mom and Dad are both the only ones calling Lucy the Lightbringer. Other angels don't know why he is called that. Not even Lucy. Will season 6 explore on him being the Lightbringer?
Not really, but I love that question. That is a really great insight, and I appreciate it. I think it's one of those things where a mother and father give their child a nickname and or a way of seeing them that I think is very reflective of who the character is.
Okay. Kelly wanted to know, is there any reason why Maze looks like her mother?
It's a great question. To me, this is just my headcanon. It's because Maze was her mother's favorite. And because Maze was the closest to her mother, which is probably the thing that haunted Maze the most, because her mother ultimately was such a tragic figure.
What did Lucifer say to the guy that killed Dan, aka in the Supernatural universe?
Good question.
I like it. There you go. I love when you do that, man. That's fantastic. Seriously. Are we going to see more classic and adorable Lucy in season 6? Season 4 and 5 are really angsty compared to season 1. They're still my favorites. Don't get me wrong.
You know, we've got some good adorkable in season 6. It was it's funny because I agree with you. I love silly Lucifer. I also like dark Lucifer. We always try to get a mixture of them. We try to get a classic case in there. We try to get something darker. We try to get something lighter. We have a couple episodes, season 6, that are of the lighter variety. And part of it was because we felt like we hadn't scratched that itch quite as much in season 5. And it felt like an opportunity to sort of hit one of those again.
8 episodes or 10 and 6?
10.
Excellent. Fantastic. That's good. Good to hear, man.
Yeah.
And we don't know. I mean, again, I always feel like a jerk asking as soon as a new season drops, but do you guys know when 6 will drop?
We do not know yet. We will hopefully know sometime soon-ish. Yeah, it's we are always excited to find out as well.
So like is the production office then closed? I mean, because you guys are done shooting. Yeah.
We're still in VFX. We're still in sound mix. We're still in all sorts of things. Like the episodes aren't complete yet. A couple of them are, but like we've got a ton of VFX. The finale is the most expensive episode of television we've ever made. Boom. So that one's taking a while, and it's awesome. Sherwin Schlotty directed our finale, and it's awesome. It is a fitting close to our story. So yeah, it's just there's a lot of VFX work, a lot of sound work, stuff like that.
Knowing that the production is ending, because I guess I'm used to hearing the horror stories of past with network and production, and sometimes budgets being cut as a show's getting closer to the end or anything like that. Is this a different animal now in the world of Netflix? And
it's funny because everyone thought we got more money season 4 when we went to Netflix, and because they were like, "Oh my god, look at the Netflix money!" And the truth is, we've always had about the same amount of money.
Okay.
And through every season, we've stayed pretty consistent. The one thing that's changed is we've gotten better at using it. VFX have gotten a little cheaper, and they've gotten better at doing it. We've gotten better at learning what we can do really well and what is harder for us to do. The only other challenge season 6 was COVID costs, and those were very expensive.
Sure.
And so a little bit of it was dealing with that, but otherwise we've stayed pretty steady. We've been lucky in that regard.
That's cool. Oh my God, it was great to see right away. Boom, you guys are, we're number. I mean, last I looked, you guys were number one.
Yeah, I don't know if we are today. I didn't check, but I hope so.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
And if not, guys, what's going on? Come on.